Yeah, it wasn't. I mean, I went to church home.
Church home, yeah. Shout out to Judah
Judah,
Smith.
right? So
yeah.
I went there. So I accomplished that goal in 2022.
Where are you at with Jesus? Because that's what some people will say about God, but like, where are you at Jesus, the resurrection?
Ruslan.
People like see my Dear God song, but they like, I think they missed the fact, even in the beginning, I'm like, I believe sometimes it gets hard. So essentially to me, Dear God is like, I feel like everyone who believes in God, they're, taught that at one point they get to a certain point where they ask questions and then they have to make a decision as to whether or not they're going to continue or not. So I felt like Dear God was essentially giving every single question one might have and letting them know it's okay to have these questions. For me, with God, just, you meet my mother, you'll see she's praying all the time, and just like, as I've grown older, the way my brain works, I've always thought of things logically, and I've always just been like, okay, so, everything has, we accept everything that has a creator. Someone created this shirt.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I was just like, as a kid, this was around 11 when I just started doing all stuff. I was like, okay, well, if everything has a creator, well, then I'm like, human beings are the most intricate and most complicated thing.
Yeah.
So something had to make us.
Yeah.
If I'm going to believe something made this basketball.
Yeah, yeah.
So that was my just like, there has to be a God.
Yeah.
So I've just always stuck to that, and that's my explanation whenever someone asks. So I've never really questioned it, and then
it's they call it the fine-tuning theory. When you really look at how intricate the universe is,
right,
to the detail of your eyeball and all that kind of stuff, you go, it is impossible that something this deliberate and this fine-tuned could have came without a creator behind it. Sometimes as a creator yourself, as an artist yourself, that like, wait a minute, this came together, but it almost feels like something otherworldly like inspires you to create, so you're like, whether we call it flow state or whatever, you know that there's something happening.
Right.
And I don't mean to be like in a weird, like, oh, you go into trance, but you could just feel this like aspect, even though our conversation right now, like there's this, that we're creating something in real time, and you go, yeah, that doesn't happen on accident. Like there's something behind that.
Right. The world is creation. Everything is like, that's what the world is. Everything, like even creating a child, like we all create every single day.
Yes.
So something created us.
Yeah.
And you can't tell me it was just some randomness.
Right.
So that's me and God right there. So yeah, me personally, I know a lot of people probably think I've had like questions with my faith, but I haven't.
Yeah.
And growing up as a kid, I would always speak and people would always be like, yo, I was just thinking that. I would like talk in the car, I'd say something, I'd be like, that's crazy, I was just thinking that. So I've always like sort of spoken for people, which is why the hardest part for me sometimes with music is like choosing what type of pronouns I'm going to use in terms of like personal pronouns or general, I or you. But sometimes you sounds weird.
Sometimes you sounds like you're yelling at the listener.
Right.
You know what I mean? Whereas I or we sounds like I'm processing this externally.
Right.
By the way, there's a strong message to this.
Exactly. And then I also like saying I. Obviously there are some songs that are about my life or whatever it is, but I like to say I so that way anyone singing along, it becomes an affirmation.
Yeah, yeah. I think the tough part for people to process about art in general is that there are times where you may be embellishing,
Right.
And it's not in I'm trying to be deceptive. It's in trying to capture a moment so that other people can relate to it,
right,
so that the truth can be packaged into it, right? And I think sometimes people can kind of struggle with like how literal are those questions that you're asking in that song, where you're like, no, you don't get it. I'm actually writing for the consumer and asking questions people actually have about God in an attempt to communicate and build common ground with them.
Amen.
That's dope. So tell me where you said your New Year's resolution or one of your goals in 2022 was to go to church more.
Right.
I think you said that was on Bootleg Kev. How was that going? I know you said you popped into a couple churches here and there.
Yeah, it wasn't. I mean, I went to church home.
Church home, yeah. Shout out to Judah Smith.
Right? So I went there. So I accomplished that goal in 2022. I think I only
went once.
I think I went twice.
Okay, twice. That's a start, baby. I'll take it. Let's go.
I'm not in LA all the time. You know what I mean? So I hit that.
Yeah.
That was great. Haven't been yet this year, but I will. My mom will make sure of it.
Yeah. Where are you normally up in north of LA?
I'm normally. Honestly, it depends on where the music video is being shot.
Okay, gotcha.
So
yeah, where are you at with Jesus? Because that's what some people will say about God, but like, where are you at Jesus, the resurrection, all that good stuff?
That's my guy.
Yeah, that's the guy.
That's my guy.
Yeah, yeah. So you believe the resurrection of Jesus bodily, that actually happened?
Yeah, I believe
event.
that there was a man by the name of Jesus.
Yeah. Did he die for your sins and rise from the grave?
I believe all that.
Yeah. That's awesome. You've also been kind of like, man, I believe but I wrestle with the idea of like organized religion.
Right. I that's the one thing that's hard for me. It's like belief for me is easy. You know, I don't like the fact that, there's 10,000 different religions. Mm-hmm. So essentially, it's the game of telephone. And if one religion doesn't necessarily fit to the confines of what you may think is right or wrong, you're going to alter it mm-hmm. and create your own, which is why there's so many. Mm-hmm. So that's the only thing I struggle about with religion.
Yeah.
Is that it's like, it is it's man-made at this point because there's so many different man-made religions,
Hey, you want to see something crazy? 67% of the people who watch this channel are not subscribed. Do me a quick favor, make sure you hit that subscribe button so you stay up to date on all the videos here on the Blessed God Studios channel. Do you think that's what kind of prevents you from wanting to press deeper into church and community and being around more followers of Jesus?
Not necessarily. I've always just, I really don't go out that much,
Yeah.
But like I like church,
Yeah.
Especially like, Judah's a great speaker. I tell him all, I'm like, yo, what you're saying is actually dope. Like I actually like listening.
Yeah.
I grew up in Catholic church where it was like, Father Frank, and it was like, he's like, hey bro, how long is this? I'm trying not to pass out during the 20-minute sermon part.
Yep.
So, like I like hearing dope content be spoken to me because I like to learn from it.
Yeah. Well, you're also thinking of it from a creative standpoint as well, right? Because you're like, oh, okay, like, oh, that story hits. Right. You know what I mean? I'm the same way where, and I could do this. I've done this to a fault where I can just become like a preacher junkie. Like I'll like dive deep. You know what I mean? But that's not always helpful either because like you're supposed to take it and apply it and implement it into your life. That's awesome, man. I'm excited to see like where all of this takes you. I'm excited to see you be more overt about your faith online. I feel like I've seen it just from the window we've been following each other on Instagram. Like I feel like even just in that window, I see you be more and more overt. And I don't know if that's intentional or not, but even in the music stuff, it seems like you're so vulnerable in the art, But I feel like you saying these things, I think, is going to help a lot of these kids that are like they need to think about this in a different way. And it may not come from a Christian rapper, and that's no or it may not even come from someone like me. You know what I mean? That makes overtly Christian content. It may be like you're the on ramp. They might see you on an interview like this, and then go down a rabbit hole and get into a pastor, get into a church. You know what I mean? And I think that's dope because I think the fallacy that the fans have is they're going to be like, all right, cool. So Dax, when are you making Christian rap music now?
Right.
And when is all we don't want no more profanity? Right. You know what I mean? Like,
see, and I don't even. I that's why it's hard because I'm never going to put myself inside of a box. That's why sometimes I'll put like on a heading for a TikTok. Recording a rapper who believes in God, or record, you know what I mean? I do stuff like I've always been like I love saying God, and my goal has always been to grow while also glorifying God's name. My mom's on me about that, so I'm always big on that.
How does your mom feel about everything you do now?
Oh, she loves it. She loves it. She's happy that I'm making positive based music, glorifying God's name. All we talk about is God, literally. So it's just usually just about make sure you're still praying and glorifying God's name as you continue to grow. And mention Him and putting Him in the forefront and all these things. Hey, if you enjoyed this video and you want to see the full extended version of this podcast, be sure to sign up for our Patreon community for only $5 a month. It'll really help us continue contextualizing the gospel using YouTube, media, and podcasting. And in exchange, you will get full unedited versions of the podcast, of our daily after party streams, a discount for our merch store, and exclusive access to our private Discord server. It's only $5 a month. The link for Patreon is in the description of this video, as well as the pinned comment below. Again, hit the link in the description, sign up now, and I'll see you over there, all right? Peace.